Okay, so we have some multi-step equations to solve today. Now, taking a glance at this first example problem, there is a lot going on here. We have numbers, multiplication, variables, adding, subtraction. The good news is we only have one variable. We have y. So that's the only variable we're dealing with, so that's nice. And to start out, for this problem, I would want to distribute all of these numbers that are being multiplied to parentheses. So essentially, if you remember, we have to distribute multiplication to each item inside those parentheses. If you remember our order of operations, we want to simplify what's in parentheses first. Well, we can't add y and 2. Y plus 2 does not equal 2y. That's just y plus 2. So if we can't simplify that, we're going to move on order of operations. We have multiplication coming up. There's no exponents here. So 8 times y, I'm just going to put an 8y, plus 8 times 2 is 16, minus 3 times y, minus 3 times negative 4. Okay, if you're having trouble understanding that, I'm going to change this to plus negative 4. So we have subtraction. 3 times negative 4 is going to be negative 12. Subtraction of a negative, it's going to become plus 12. Okay, this is the one side. Got cleaned up a little bit. Other side, 6 times y is simply going to be 6y, minus 6 times 7 is 42, and that 8 over there by himself, he's just going to come right on down, plus 8. So it doesn't look too cleaned up yet, but we got one step out of the way. Next part, I'm going to want to collect my like terms on each side of the equals. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to underline. You could highlight, you can mark any kind of way you'd like my different terms. So all my y's, I just gave them a pink underline. Give these guys a green underline. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bring down the equals. Okay, I'm lining these kind of straight up so I can keep the sides separate. That way I make sure I'm not messing up my equation. Equations have to stay balanced if there's an equals, right? I mean, if you don't balance it, then it's not going to be equal anymore. So I'm going to take 8y, subtract 3y. I would have 5y left on that side. 16 plus 12, that's going to give me plus 28. On the other side, I only have the 1y, well, 6y actually, but I don't have any other y's to combine it with, so I'm just going to bring that straight on down. Negative 42 plus 8. If you take a negative number and you add something positive, you're going to get closer to being positive. So it's going to come out to be negative 34 or minus 34. Okay. My next step, I don't have any like terms I can combine on either side of the equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and isolate y. I mean, that's how we solve these, right? We want to get the variable by itself. So I'm going to take 5 away from this side. 5y minus 5y, I'm not going to have any y's left over here. But if I do something to one side of the equation, got to do it to the other. So I subtract 5y over there. 5y minus 5y, no y's. All I have left here is 28. And that equals 6y minus 5y. That's just y, or 1y. I mean, you could put a 1 here. It's the same thing. 1 times any number, it's just going to be that number. Same with a variable. Minus 34. Now my last step to get this y by itself is I need to undo subtraction of 34, which I'm going to have to add 34. If I do something one side of the equation, got to do it to the other. Subtract 34 plus 34, those are going to cancel out. All I have left over here is y, and that equals 28 plus 34 is going to give us 62. Now, just to be clear, in case you're a little bit confused, y equals 62, that is fine that the y is on this side. If I would have moved things over, I would end up with the same answer. But you don't have to have your y or your x on this side. It's equals. I mean, you could flip them. This is the same thing as y equals 62. These are the same thing. Okay? So let's work through another example. Okay, here we have another big one. Again, there's some multiplication there that we can distribute. So I'm going to kind of point that out right away. Got that 2 into there, this guy into those. So let's just do that first. It's 10y, there's nothing to distribute with that, so I'm going to bring him straight on down. Minus 2 times 3y, that's going to be minus 6y. Minus 2 times negative 6, again, we can rewrite this as negative 6. That's going to turn out to be plus 12, okay? On the other side of our equals, 4 times 3y is going to give us 12y minus 24 and subtraction of 8y. Now, just like in our last problem, I'm going to underline some of my variables. Those are all my y's. And I don't have too many numbers here. So 10y minus 6y, that's going to leave us with 4y plus 12. That's going to equal 12y minus 8y is 4y minus 24. Now, again, the way to solve these is when you get the variable by itself. So I'm going to subtract 4y from this side. So that's going to get rid of it, right? I'm going to have to do the same thing over here. 4y minus 4y, all I have left on that side of the equation is 12. 4y minus 4y is 0. All I have left over here is negative 24. So now we get here, we have no y's left. We have 12 equals negative 24, which we know isn't true, right? 12 is not the same thing as negative 24. We didn't make any mistakes. You can go back and check here. We didn't make any mistakes. So what this equation is telling us is that there is no real solution for it. No matter what number we plug in for y, it's not going to work out. There's no number that we can plug in for y that's going to make this true. So there is no real answer. So if you get one of these and you get two things that aren't equal, that means whatever number you plug in, it's not going to work. There is no real answer.